Okay, we're back for some more Morpho Anatomy for Artists, clothing folds and creases this time. We're going to jump right into the head and neck section. It says the Morpho approach consists of not losing sight of the volume of the head and of establishing the axis of symmetry, or the radial system arranged in spokes or radii of the seams. Figure 2, so you got those spokes right there. And then figure 1, see like the roundedness of the hat matches that of the roundedness of the head. So let's go ahead and get some of these drawn in. Again, just starting with some simple, just quick, almost gestural sketches here. This guy's definitely Pharrell. Funny enough, I do have a character that does wear a fedora, so this is perfect little fedora practice. Okay, and then I think I can fit this little guy up here. Man, they're really doing some construction today. Okay. Sorry about that. It's very, they're like building like some new building across the street from us, and there's some days where like you really can't hear these guys at all, and then there's some days where it just like rattles my house. So luckily I have a doctor's appointment today, and I think after I'm done recording for today, I think I'm gonna go get the heck out of the house. You guys are really going at it today. Doing a little draw through here. Like so. Good old big girl. Definitely drew this face way too long. But that's okay. I mostly wanted to get to this hair. Even though this book has nothing to do with hair, anytime I see some hair, because it's basically the same thing as like creases and folds, I'm just gonna make sure I draw it. Okay. Got 2 more to do. And last one. I gotta move this microphone because I can't lay this book flat. You guys get to see warts and all some days. I got a lot of sleep last night. I don't know why I woke up. I woke up kind of cranky. I haven't eaten. I'm not like actively trying to like intermittent fast or anything, but there's just some days where I wake up and I go, I don't like need to like just immediately fill my gut. So I did that today and I was like, I also worked out before doing this, so I was like, maybe I should have eaten. Okay. Let me just move this microphone real quick. Put this guy over here. Already. Oh, so much more room. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. Check, 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 check. So good? Turn it up just a little bit. Alright, cool. Hey, some days it's easy doing this, some days it's a little hard. That's all I could say. I'm not a professional YouTuber. Professionals be like, dude, always make sure you're eating before you go on a stream, bro. You don't want to be hangry on a stream. I don't think I'm hangry right now. I'm just like, woo. It just kind of hit me like halfway through drawing that first page. I was like, oh man, I'm like, the kid's a little sleepy. I'm a little sleepy deep right now. I gotta tell you though, these like little like anatomy pieces that you are seeing in here, so much easier to do after already doing like a big anatomy thing. You know, we already went through our anatomy So it's like, oh, okay, like. A lot of circles were drawn today, folks. This hat's crazy. What the heck? I'm just going to go ahead and draw through. Okay. Let's get in here and tighten these guys up a little bit. like we said, you know, I'm not super duper worried about the anatomy here. We can talk a little bit about music while we plow through here. I think the newest thing is the Kendrick Lamar leak happened. And it's a cool song. Seems like a very, very, very personal song that kind of sucks when people leak shit. Leak stuff, sorry. Especially something like that. I mean, that seems like a very personal song about him and his dad's like relationship, I guess. So that's kind of a bummer. I'd be kind of mad. I'd be like, that was probably for the archives, you know? But whoever this leaker is, jeez Louise, brother. Six-minute long Kendrick song about fatherhood. I've heard that one album, something in the Big Steppers, is supposed to be like amazing, but like I couldn't get through it. It was just too sad. It's like I don't really like sad hip hop. Like if I'm going through like a breakup or something, then for sure, but I kind of look for hip hop for like energy. So that album, didn't really listen to it much. I tried like listening to it once, and I was just like, dude, this is like the heaviest. I think this might be like, you know, one of the heaviest hip hop albums I've ever listened to. You know, it was just so heavy. But I mean, it's K-Dot. Like the production, the thing that I really took away from that album was that I was like, dude, the production on this album sounds amazing. Like that might have been like the cleanest hip hop album I think I've ever listened to. It kind of like reminded me of Lauryn Hill's Miseducation, where you're just like, this sounds like this was recorded like, you know, just like in a cathedral or something. It sounds so theatrical and big. Great, you know, great sounding album. I just couldn't, like the subject matter was just so. I'm like, I don't think I want to listen to like people's like confessional, you know, hip hop albums and stuff. But everybody I knew was just like, have you listened to it? Have you checked it out? And everybody was so excited about it, I just didn't want to be a hater. So I was just like, yeah, you know, I listened to it, I need to listen to it again. That was like my big thing that always kind of got me out of it. I was like, oh yeah, I just need to spend more time with it. Because I didn't want to be like, I did that with Black Panther. When Black Panther came out, it was like me, I was like the only person that felt like, I was like, this movie sucks. I was like, T'Challa, and like this got great acting and everything, but I was like, this movie's a Killmonger movie. Like, Killmonger like totally stole the show. So I was like, yeah, I mean that part ruled, but everything else about this movie was kind of bad. I just was like, this is not a good I like T'Challa way more in Civil War when he was like basically just like a, you know, a new challenger has entered. Like he just came out of nowhere, and I love like the practical effects that they use more in like Civil War. I just hated that Black Panther 1 was just such like a CGI fest. It's just like, which I know that's like, you know, that's kind of hack to say at this point, but I just kind of was like, he made such an appearance, you know, in Civil War that I was like, yo, come on, put him back in the suit. Alright, figures 1 and 2, the back of the cap escapes from the volume of the head and is subject to gravity. So, we're going to draw some Ed, Edd, and Eddy looking heads right now. Yeah, I just felt like I was like the only person that I had so many people of color just being like, dude, doing the Wakanda thing, like the greeting and stuff, and I was just like, I can't be the only person that thinks this movie sucks. And now like discourse is like, yeah, not the greatest movie. It's written cool and everything. It's just like, it's mostly just the effects. It was just like, I feel like Black Panther works so much better as just like a dude in the suit. Like that was so sick in the first one, in Civil War, where he was all that whole fight scene was that was like the craziest fight scene I've ever seen. I was like, dude, is this like Power Rangers now? This is awesome. Everything just felt so cool and real, and then you get, you know, Black Panther, and everything just was like, I was like, ah, man, they're even like at a stage for any of this. This looks so fake. Like everything around this looks so fake. But yeah, so I just didn't want to be the only person. Like I remember saying that at a couple things, and people like, you know, like black people like looking at me like I was like insane. Like how could you? You're a traitor, you know. And I was like, all right, cultural zeitgeist, I get it. This is a moment, you know. You don't need. I wasn't egregious with it. I remember I was like kind of sort of on a date with this girl who had like just got done seeing it. It was like a sort of setup-y date. It was like, hey, come hang out with our friend. She's also single. Like maybe you guys can, you know, get along. And it was just not going that great. So there was already that. But then she was just like, have you seen Black Panther? Oh my God, greatest movie I think I've ever seen. And I was like, there's no way you mean that. It's like, have you seen 3 movies? There's no way that you mean Black Panther's the greatest movie you've ever seen. There's no way. I refuse to believe that you legitimately think that. And then everybody around her was just like, yeah, it was like so good. And I was like, that movie was terrible. Okay. So these direction lines are basically telling you kind of where these wrinkles should be headed. go over here. Like so. So as you can see too, when we have these lines that are kind of going across, once again, they don't really connect all the way to like the end. So we've got this one down here. Then let's get this guy in here. Or this lady, I'm sorry. It's gal. Okay. So when you're turning, that's where you're gonna have all the folds be at. Okay. We're zooming now. Got a little bit more room over here for some of this stuff. We've got a little Mobius. So I guess this is basically what a scarf is kind of doing, which is great to know because I'm about to draw a Common Rider comic. I'm just gonna knock out some of these scarves over here, I feel like. But I feel like I can fit them over here. so. This hat's gigantic on this person. Good. Sorry guys, we are flying now. I feel like I finally caught my wind. I already drew this, but just so we can get that a little bit bigger. Sometimes it's like I've seen people talk about warming up like this, where you're just drawing forms and then giving them volume. This is totally what they're talking about. This is a little tricky to get into, but just think S's. Not really sure about the constructions of this kind of stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's not really totally explaining like how you would kind of construct something like this kind of out of your head. It feels to me like a lot of this stuff you still might need just like a tiny bit of reference. Which, I mean, you're always going to need reference. So, I mean, don't fret. Let's see. Here again, try to imagine the three-dimensional path followed by these ribbons or fabric, in other words, scarves. So I guess this is kind of how you would approach it. So we're going to start with the that, and then we would turn it into this. Something like that. So you're just building volume on, like, you know what I mean? Let's see if I can actually, like, so if we were here, actually it'd be like back here. So you're just kind of building, once you have those lines down, you're just kind of trying to build like a volume around them. Let's get old homegirl in here. We've got these two to do. These three. I have to draw shoes today on a character, and I really hoping that now let's build up. This is like actually really fun. As far as like notes on this, I don't know. I don't know like what notes I would kind of write for something like this to kind of try to remember it. I'm not really sure as far as like notes to write. I feel like I'm kind of like intuitively understanding what's going on here. So I apologize to anyone that's watching. That's maybe like how do you like lock this information into your head? Because like if you were looking at like a reference for a scarf like this, I feel like it would be like tough to kind of simplify it into something like this. But I think it's like all these lines are kind of, they're all going somewhere. Or like there's, so I guess you could start, like let's start with this one. Right, like do you see how like, it's so hard to put into words. There's like a lot of overlap, for sure. A lot of overlapping shapes. And then I almost want to say there's like, you're like doubling up the lines. You're basically kind of doing like this, right? Like you're kind of getting in like your this practice where you're making like ribbons. Like you're kind of getting into that ribbon practice. Over here it says the hood can be seen as just a simple pocket. So let's get some of these in. Right? And then the translation of that is just And you're kind of like, you're emulating like the first line that you're making. But you're kind of like not. So it's like this line, it's kind of going like this, but this one's kind of like poking out a little bit. Okay. so. Okay, and then we will finish up. Oh snap! Okay, we'll just do this. This is the last section. God, hair is so hard to draw. Okay. So here's the tension point. Just like that, and then let's do these last couple, and then that's a wrap for the head and the neck. So tension points are right there and there. And then outside of that, like what we did right here, the outside line just follows the line of the body. But your tension points right here, like where all these wrinkles are going to, they're headed towards like your pecs. And then the hood is more practice for what we just did. Just like that. Pretty cool. And good thing about this, hair follows the same freaking rules. So hopefully by the end of this book, we'll be really good at drawing hair too. Is this right? Okay. And is that it? Holy crap. Am I missing anything? No, I'm not. Okay. Cool. So tomorrow we're going to jump into the torso, which I believe is going to be probably a couple videos because it's pretty thick. But yeah, that's it for the head and neck. See you next time.